Okay, late London and New York session done. It's getting late here. I'll get straight to the trades. I ended up taking that DE30 trade that I was talking about in London. I said I wouldn't because there was news coming up, but news at 4 p.m. over here didn't do anything at all. I thought there'd be a stronger reaction. It said Euro CPI, I think it was, but nothing really happened. So I ended up taking this setup. So the setup for this one was we break out of the previous week high, faking out the previous day high. That's a breakout reversal setup on the weekly. On the daily, it's a fake out setup. We have a previous H8 high fake out below the previous day high. So here we go. It's a fake out setup on the daily, breakout reversal setup on the weekly, and then on the monthly. There was no setup yet, but if it gets past this week high, which it looks like it might, well, I don't know. If it gets below this previous week high, it becomes a breakout reversal, false breakout, and this becomes a fake out retracement. So that's a breakout reversal, false breakout, and fake out retracement. Faking out the previous high, which in the monthly time frame, it's the previous week high. This was what I saw, and I tried to get in an early entry in order to catch this move down to the previous month low. So how I entered after this M15 fake out bar was created. I dropped down to a lower time frame and watched it pull back, and I entered when price couldn't get past the H1 breakout level and turned bearish. This was the last bullish breakout bar and the first bearish breakout bar that takes that out. Stop loss at the high of that M15 bar, and then targeting. Going to hold this for a while. If it goes, I'm targeting the previous month low right here. Yeah, about 14, 15R. So coming into um, New York, it actually was at a range here on the H4. There was an inside bar. So when the inside bar is printed, previous bars high and low becomes a range for me. And so once it got to that range, I ended up taking partials over here. There was a strong reaction. My runners at break even, and now I'm just holding it for however long it wants to go. Yeah, so like I said, fake out setup on the daily, breakout reversal setup on the 1 hour on the weekly. And if it gets past this previous week high, the confirmation is when the 4 hour closes below the previous week high. If that happens, then that becomes a fake out retracement. So once again, as I've said, all my setups work on every time frame. I just find where I am in the cycle and then trade a setup that's going in that direction. So that's the one I took on DE30. See if that goes. And then coming into New York, I took one on gold. So on gold, what I saw breakout and then triggered the previous H8 high. Once that happens, I know it's a breakout reversal setup, and I'm looking for the last bullish breakout bar, and I'm waiting for a bearish breakout bar that takes that out. I could enter like this, but price ended up pulling back instead, so I dropped down to the lower time frames. In this case, the 2 minute, and so this was the bar that I started to look for an entry, pulled back, faked out the previous M15 high right here, and once I saw that, I entered straight like this, targeting the previous day high. In this case, I targeted the H8 breakout level. Yeah, so about 5R on this one. It's a breakout reversal setup. Previous H8 high, fake out, high of the day, TP previous day high. Followed that, got it. Yeah, nice move on this. So that was one trade that I took, and then I took one on oil. Oil for me, I took it on the M15. So what I saw, breakout, triggering the previous H8 low over here is a breakout reversal, comes back above that breakout level, right, the previous day low. This turns into a false breakout. This is a H8 high, so if it gets above this, it's either going to be a I could see it as either a false breakout or a trend breakout. Um, so that's coming up. I was looking to enter the move up, but I require on both those setups, false breakout and a trend breakout. They're color coded red. What I'm looking for is a retracement trigger, which is a retracement buy after a previous M15 low fake out, and there was no M15 low fake outs here, so I could not enter this one. But once it triggered this previous H8 high, I recognize that we're now in a fake out retracement cycle on the daily, right? So false breakout, I thought it was going to be a trend breakout, but once the previous H8 high got triggered at the previous H8 high fake out at the peak of the day, in this case, the high of the day, then I knew that this is a fake out retracement. And this is why instead of this being a trend breakout, I consider this a false breakout. Um, so what I saw there was a fake out retracement back down to the previous day low. Um, this bar faked out the M15, and then I entered as price broke below, right down to the previous day low. So this one I took partials at previous day low and TP at the low of the day. So I've said in many videos that the fake out retracement is the one that I take most losses on. It's a lot of the time it's because I don't see that breakout level and I just see all the way down here. But if I do spot it, I'm definitely taking my partials at that breakout level. You never know if it's going to break or if it'll hold. Sometimes it holds, but when it breaks, there's usually nothing to stop it from continuing all the way down. So took that one on oil. It's a fake out retracement setup. Um, Lots of bearish confluence, so I would have preferred to sell below previous week low as well. Yeah, so that was the setup that I took on oil. And then for the indices, it was a bit tricky. 8:30 right here. This is when the New York Stock Exchange opens in Jakarta. So price pushed up, but it was below this previous day high, and it broke below that previous H8 low, which would be a false breakout or a trend breakout. So I was looking to go down on this one. Also, the other indices were all at that time were all pointing down as well. They're all kind of down everything, and I've been selling the indices, so I wasn't comfortable taking a buy, even though my setup was telling me to take a buy. But since I'm a mechanical trader, if I have my setup, I'm going to take it. So faked out the previous H8 low over here, and when it fakes out low, I'm always going to take it up. That's usually at swing points. Basically, I always like to fake out a low to take a trade up. So on how I entered, before that, the reason why I picked NAS instead of US 30, because the candle, um, this one was close to the previous day high, and it was over, and then a few minutes before it popped back down, while this one never got close to that previous day high. And so I didn't want to trade into that previous day high. I wanted to trade above it, so I ended up picking NAS. That's the reason why I didn't pick US 30. So NAS, since I was unsure, I was waiting for an M15 uh, bar to confirm the move. There's lots of bullish pressure, and so I would rather buy, but because all the other indices were falling, I just needed a bit more confirmation that this move would continue. So waited for this confirmation breakout bar that takes out that last bearish breakout bar, and 15 is now bullish, and so I entered as price got above that previous day high. So took it above the peak of that of the previous of this bar, and then stop loss below that this M15 level. And so I was treating this as a breakout, but in hindsight, when I looked at it again, it's actually not my breakout setup. I was coming from an H8 low, but my breakout setup requires the H8 high. So I did not notice that. I just saw that we were above previous day high, so I did my trade management as a breakout instead of as a normal any other setup. Basically, any other setup, I would be taking partials on the way near as it gets close to these levels, and once it starts to reverse, I would take some partials. But my breakout setups, I tend to try to hold them for as long as I can. So in this case, uh, price shot back down so fast that I did not have any chance to take any partials. It just shot back down. Once it did that, I knew that I was wrong, and so I exited. With once it started coming up and started to move back down, I exited. So I took a tiny loss. I mean, well, break even is basically practically break even on this trade. And so after that, I knew that the daily got faked out, and it's time to take the trade down. Unfortunately, again, since I'm a mechanical trader, I was looking for a setup. My setup for this would be a trend breakout setup, right? So it got below false breakout, and it got below that. If it gets below that previous low, below that previous high, then it becomes a trend breakout. My trend breakout again requires the M15, in this case, the M15 high to fake out, and I just never got that M15 high fake out. And so I was, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I always follow my setups. I try my best to not take any discretionary trades. I find that if I take any losses on discretionary trades, I kind of beat up myself, while if I take a loss following my setups, I just shrug it off. There's no such thing as a 100% win rate. So I don't mind taking losses when I follow my rules, but if I don't follow my rules and I take a loss, I don't handle it so good. So I've kind of taken that out of my trading. So no M15 high fake out. I get one here, but there was actually an inside bar right here. So once that inside bar got printed, I'm not interested inside this. I was waiting for it to come up, which it did. And once it did, it gave me an M15 fake out. So actually, once it came up above here, I was thinking, okay, maybe those longs will come again because there's higher time frame trends. But as soon as the M15 closed like this, I know I'm back in that trend breakout setup, and so I ended up entering on the M15. When I'm unsure or I need more confirmation, then I'll wait for M15 closes. Um, I'll only trade M1 and stuff like that if I'm extremely confident that I got the move correct and I'm reading it correct. So I'm in this right now, break even. Don't know if it'll continue, but let's see. So this one also breakout, faking out the previous day high. That's a breakout reversal setup on the weekly. So I'll be seeing how it reacts at this range, which is an H1 range, and then I'll be targeting the previous week high. So I'll put my alert back at that range. What else? So yeah, so since I'm a mechanical trader, like basically all I'm really looking at are bar closes. And so when the bar closed above, I'm looking to go up. When the close is below, I'm looking to go down. I don't get any more fancy than that. It's just all I look at are the peak fake outs, breakout levels, and bar closures, and that's it. Don't count pushes, don't draw trend lines. I don't do any of that stuff. I find that it's all just fluff to me. It doesn't really make sense for me to be looking at things like that. Price is moving because higher time frames are pushing it. So all I do is care about where the higher time frame levels are. So looks like okay. Give me a second. Gonna take some part. Okay, I took some partials on my NAS trade. Didn't quite get there, but I'm not going to risk it coming back. Um, and yeah, so those are my trades that I took. I took DE30 late London. Okay, got past that week. It closed below the week, so now this becomes a fake out retracement. I would expect a bit of a pullback. And then if it stays under, I'd be waiting for this move down to the previous month low. So that's one that I took late London. And then I took one on gold, breakout reversal setup on gold, took a fake out retracement setup on oil. Still kind of stuck in a holding pattern right there. There's a range on the H1. So usually one of these ranges will, one of these extreme edges would be triggered before it shoots to the opposite side. Did not take US 30 after this bar printed. It was kind of in a range like the whole time, so I just didn't look at anything. Once this bar came back above the H8 low, it also happened at the same time as the NAS one, so I just focused on NAS. And yeah, that's it.